part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Run, William, run! He's got blockers in front. 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score! Kick blocked! They blocked the kick!
All right, guys, before we get started, need to talk to you about DraftKings Sportsbook. So we're only a couple weeks away from betting becoming legal in Ohio, so you will not have to wait too much longer to bet on all of your favorite sports teams, even if it is the Browns, from the comfort of their own home. So celebrate. All new customers will receive $200 in free bets when you sign up today using code P3Browns. Also, 5 lucky customers will win a $100,000 free bet. Yes, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you $200 in free bets just for signing up today. There's no deposit required. And you'll be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. So you'll be able to bet on the money line, spreads, props, and more with DraftKings. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code P3Browns to get $200 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Ohio. Plus, 5 customers will win a $100,000 free bet. Only at DraftKings with code P3Browns. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. 21 and over. Physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. 1 per customer. $200 issued as 8 $25 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends first day. DraftKings is allowed to operate in Ohio, so see terms at DKNG.com/OH. DraftKings, Tyvis. It's coming.
Woo-hoo.
Couple weeks.
I know, man. It actually
It's illegal.
It's come upon us really fast. When did we know about this? I think it was was it at the first of this year or was it like in June or something? No, I want to say it was
it was
March.
supposed to be earlier in the year, and then they pushed it.
It was supposed to be like March, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. Better late than never. That's how I look at it.
I know.
Right in time.
And we got Ohio State playing on New Year's Eve.
Go Bucks.
And we can't bet on it until
I know, but if they win, then we can't. So
well, that's true. That's very true.
It's a nice little incentive for them.
Well, you always got the silver lining over there.
I know.
What is that right next? Is that a dog?
No, it's a teddy bear. Yeah, this is Max. Max.
What is happening? Do you have a dog?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No. Oh my God, how was he? Sorry, everybody. There's just the cutest. What kind of dog is it?
The miniature golden doodle. But he looks like a stuffed animal.
He does.
Yeah.
It literally looks like a stuffed animal. Oh my God, he's adorable.
This is the guy who protects the house when I'm not around.
Oh well. He looks tougher than you.
I see the jokes are flying.
Yeah, well, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
That's true. That is true. Listen, Holly, listen. No,
go ahead. I need to get my rant over with at some point here when we start, but you start.
You have a rant?
I just got a couple things I need to get off my chest.
Oh, please. Ladies first, please. Oh. Grace us with it. Let's hear it. Let's see if I can walk you back.
Well, what week are we in, Tyvis, of the season?
This will be 15 coming up.
15 or 14. Regardless.
This is 15 coming up.
It's December, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 15. We are just making inexcusable mistakes in all 3 phases of the game. We're completely undisciplined this late in the season. There's no excuses for week 14 to be looking like this. And it's so, I don't even know what anymore. Is there a word beyond frustrated? Like, I feel like every year.
Fed up is the word that you're looking for.
Yeah. It really makes me consider what the hell's going on there?
I was about to say, I know you were about to say change teams. I know that.
I don't know if I'd even change teams because I don't want to even root for anyone else, but it makes me not want to even root for them. To see the shit. Do you know that they were penalized 9 times for 98 yards.
Yeah.
They were penalized for a almost full football field.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
There's there's not even a
the holding
that's all
call,
inexcusable. All the penalties are.
So the holding
Just
call,
late.
the holding calls, you got to remember this. This offensive line, first of all, there's a lot of injuries on it was some injuries on the offensive line.
Yes.
So that's one thing. But two, you got to remember that this offensive line is used to protecting for Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is not mobile as Deshaun Watson. So when you get a mobile quarterback back there, you don't, especially a guy like Deshaun, you don't know where he's going. Like you're blocking your guy and you think you got him. And then Deshaun Watson does something and you have no idea because you can't turn around and look at him. You have no idea where he's going. And once the guy tries to pull away, because you're already blocking him, they're going to call holding on that every time. But you have no idea. So that's why he got a lot of those holding calls, because this offensive line isn't accustomed to.
Okay, but what about roughing the punter?
Roughing the punter. Okay, so roughing the punter is this. I actually had to talk about this today when I called in to the Columbus radio.
Oh, well, you have an explanation for this?
Yeah, I'm gonna explain what goes into blocking the punt.
Okay.
So generally, when you go to block a punt, the only time people really block punts is when you come scot-free. Like your special teams coordinator has schemed up something where you get barely touched, or you beat your guy off the line, or you just come scot-free. That's usually how block or punts get blocked. Somebody miss or something like that. In this case, in Tony Field's situation, I don't think he was untouched. When you go to block a punt, you're taught the block point is 1 to 2 yards in front of where the punter is standing, because every punter gets the ball and they take 1 to 2 steps and then boom, they punt the ball. So you're not, when you go block it, your eyes should be focused on getting to that block point. They put like this little orange cone in practice, and they be like, this is the block point. When you get there, the proper technique is if you're coming from the right side, you should block it with your left hand. If you're coming from the left side, you should block it with your right hand. The reason doing this is if you miss the block, you will fly past the punter. You wouldn't hit it. You'll put a hand out, and if you miss, boom, you just run past. You never, ever are supposed to go straight down the middle to try to block the punt.
Which is what he did.
Exactly. Because in that case, if you miss, you're still going to at least run into the punter. So I think at some point of that, he should have realized, hey, I'm not going to get there, so I need to run by. But even if he felt like he was going to get there, he still should have picked a side and used one hand so he could fly by. When he decided to go straight down the middle, like that's basically you're all in on this block. And he just wasn't going to get there because he didn't come scot-free for it. So that's what led to him doing that. It's just a young mistake. It's something that is really deflating, because to me, I think that was kind of one of the things that changed that game. I mean, you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about all the times we play Cincinnati as of recently, it's always happened with they usually get the ball first and Joe Burrow throws a pick. And from that pick, it's like it's the Browns just take off from that pick. Well, unfortunately, they didn't get that. I think we had the ball first this time. They ended up forcing the little 3 and out, and they were going to get excellent field position. Like, although they wasn't going to block the punt, they was going to get excellent field position for the offense. Deshaun Watson was pretty much cooking on that first drive. I felt like he was making some great throws. And when he did that, what it does to a defense is like, man, we just went out there and went 3 and out, and now we gotta go back out there on the field. Plus, they get a 15-yarder, so it's kind of like you're upset unless you got that type of defense where you embrace being out on the field. Like at Ohio State, we embrace being out there. Like,
well, you know, our defense doesn't embrace it.
My point exactly. So I'm like, I would have been like, okay, we back out there, we get 3 and out. It don't matter. We better than y'all anyway. We'll get 3 and out. We'll be back off the field anyway. But I think at that point, they were so frustrated at the fact that they're back out there that ultimately it led to the touchdown. So that was a long explanation, but that was what happened on that punt block, and that was the effects of running into the punter or roughing the punter.
Yeah, which is really interesting, and it's regardless, which I appreciate the breakdown of it all. It's things, and I know that's, you know, he's a young guy, you know, he's going to make mistakes and everything, but that all of that leads back to me is coaching and discipline and learning those things. And that's fine. But it's not mistakes we should be making this late in the season. Like there's no reason for it. And it's crazy. I was thinking about, like, you really thought that at this point, like that with our starting multi-million-dollar, $250 million quarterback playing for 11 games, that they actually still, with all of that, we're going to come back and actually make the playoffs. Like that, I think about that now and I'm like, what was I on?
Listen, you know what you were on? You was drinking the Kool-Aid. I mean, you understood that Deshaun Watson was, you know what it was? You understood that the effects that having a great quarterback can have on the team. That's what you.
But we had not seen.
That's what everybody
hadn't seen
thought.
Anything in years, and we hadn't, with all the shit that went on in the season, with everything that surrounded him, everything we were coming off of last year. Just there was so much. There's no trust. There's no communication. No preparation.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example, and this is comparing. And people will say that this is comparing apples to oranges, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not. Tom Brady got suspended for Deflategate for 4 games. The man came back, and I believe they won the Super Bowl that year. So what it does is you understood the difference of, now granted, when he came back, I think they were 3-1. Obviously, Deshaun Watson was 4-7. But you understood that how great having a great quarterback can affect the play of the players around him in all phases of the game. And I think you kind of seen that a little bit in the Houston game. Obviously, Deshaun didn't play great, but the defense and the special teams did. Now,
all of them, others, they stepped up. But it's against the Texans.
I know. That's why I was saying. I know people will say, well, it was the Texans. Well, yeah, I will hear that, but the Texans just went 4 quarters with the Dallas Cowboys, and who's a team that's going to the playoffs. So what are you saying to me?
I'm saying that the Texans got lucky last week.
Nobody gets lucky. That's the thing about the NFL.
Oh, no, they do.
The worst team has a shot to beat anybody. And it's crazy to think that, but that's really true.
Well, it is. I know. My dad used to say that, like, you know, when you're going into these games up against someone that you know for sure you're going to win, you know, you become a little bit more relaxed, right? It's not as serious. And we see it all the time. That's why upsets are upsets. But it's just, again, it goes back to that whole like exception versus rule kind of thought process. And I just think like what we thought was going to be the rule all season has just, obviously it's not. I mean, I don't even like the fact that I'm even still debating it in my head because of this late now at this point. Like we have nothing to play for. There's another year lost, another year wasted. Like it is. Everyone is fed up with it. And I don't know. Do you really think, let's talk about Stefanski for a minute.
His name has been buzzing more
It has.
than ever this week. Man, let's talk about it though.
Do you think he's really the one making the calls?
The play calls?
Yeah.
Offensively?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100% him.
Yeah, I think AVP.
Do you think he buys into the analytics, or do you think that that's all pushed down for him to take on?
Do I think he really pays attention to analytics? Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Just by some of the decisions he makes. Yes. And he even comes out and tells you that. So yeah, why would I?
Yeah, the 4th and 1. What was the,
his reason for the
we need more points. We need more points.
Yeah, he said when you're going against good teams, you can't take 3. You got to take 7.
No, we got to take 3 because we get 0.
Yeah, well, that's the risk you take when you
no, but it's not a risk that we should be taking. And I know, and he said in his press conference, like, that's what I like, and we're aggressive. And it's like, yeah, but, and you want to try and be smart, but you have to be smart and aggressive. You can't just be aggressive or smart. And we've been aggressive and not smart. I don't know. I don't
disagree with that.
Why would you take Deshaun out? It doesn't.
Why? You know why?
No, I don't.
I told you why before we started the show. It's Jacoby Brissett's birthday. You got to get the birthday boy. Let him throw a touchdown. I mean, think about this, Holly. Think about it. Jacoby Brissett's birthday is 4th and 1. The man specializes in quarterback sneak. So he
didn't even do a sneak.
So that's my point. Listen, can I paint this? My name is Tyvis Picasso. I'm painting a picture. 4th and 1. Jacoby Brissett comes running in the game. As a defense, what are you saying to yourself? Think about it. What are you saying? Jacoby Brissett's 4th and 1. Jacoby Brissett runs in. What are you saying?
QB sneak.
Okay. Bam. Perfect. I don't remember who the running back was at the time. I don't remember if it was Nick or Kareem or whoever. But so you say, okay, well, if that's not the case, so you're playing process of elimination. So the things I'm thinking is 4th and 1, quarterback sneak. If not quarterback sneak, this team is very heavy on running the ball. So they definitely going to hand the ball off. So I'm thinking a run play. The last thing I'm thinking is a pass play. So in this scenario, you got Kevin Stefanski who's trying to play chess and not checkers. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to bring Jacoby Brissett in. So that already gives the threat. I'm going to run play action. So that's another threat. And then I'm going to run this play. Now, DPJ was open on the play. A lot of people aren't giving him credit. The fact that DPJ was open, it was the right call. The problem is you ask the quarterback to come in that's cold, that hasn't thrown in the past. Now, I think you would have been better suited for it if you let Deshaun throw it. Obviously, the guy's been wheeling and dealing to get down the field in the first place. So he's kind of hot and he's kind of in a rhythm. So you want to, especially on a corner route. A corner route is very hard to throw accurate-wise. And that's why that play happened like that. So that's pretty much, I'm thinking what Kevin Stefanski was thinking.
Yeah, dumb.
It's
dumb.
It's not dumb because the play actually was there.
What do you mean it's not? No.
It was there.
You're going to bringing Jacoby Brissett in cold 2 weeks.
I think that's dumb.
Yes, I would have ran it.
I would have ran the play with Deshaun Watson.
As you should have.
What I'm saying is it would have been. But I told you why they put it was his birthday, Holly. You got to let the birthday.
No, it was my birthday too.
Happy belated.
Thanks. I'm sick of the Browns losing on my birthday. I actually was going to look back to see if they've ever won on my birthday. Probably not.
Well, you can have a birthday in February, and the only time that could be affected is if they're in the Super Bowl, which is coming soon.
It's coming soon. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we're nowhere near that. Again.
It's coming sooner than you think.
Do you think Stefanski will be calling plays next season?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Where do you think...
Because why would
of his three of going, he'll be going into what year 4, right?
He started in 2020, 21, 22. Yep.
Do you think he's gotten better
as a coach
and play caller both since he started here, or worse?
I think he's plateaued.
When did he plateau for you?
When did he when he got blew out by the Patriots? That's when I realized he hadn't gotten better.
So why keep him?
Keep him because he is a great offensive mind. He is a guy that, he's a guy that lost his starting and franchise quarterback, but somehow had a top 10 offense, I think, in the NFL. So his play calling is still pretty good. This is a guy who, without a franchise quarterback, still somehow managed to average 20-plus points a game. This is a guy who also, even though without his franchise quarterback, was in position to win more games than what his record showed. He did offensively, he did his part in what needed to be done. I still say that the defense was the one that handicapped this whole season. This season was messed up because our defense didn't show up. If our defense played just average in areas, then this record wouldn't be what it is today. So I think, given the circumstances that he dealt with, I thought he handled it correctly, but he was handicapped by the other two phases of the game. That's what I think. So that's why.
So you want him back?
Yeah, I give him a spin. I would like to see him a full season with Deshaun.
And I understand that thought process and that argument. I feel like we took this history-making move.
What y'all did was y'all gassed it too much. That's what it is. Y'all gassed everything. That y'all looked at the roster and said, "Oh, this guy we got this, we got that."
Because we thought we did.
And what happened was that person didn't play like that person. That person got decided to go get hurt in a car accident, so he handicapped himself. You got that person who your starting linebacker tore his ACL, so he was out. You got that person like JOK who was in and out of the lineup all season long. You got that person who's Denzel, the $100 million man who got a concussion and missed multiple games. You got G New who missed games. You got guys that just wasn't there. You got the offensive line. Your center is down. Your backup center is down. The third string is terrible. You got Wyatt Taylor, one of the best guards, who's in and out the lineup. You got Jack Conklin, who you thought was going to be this great guy, who actually graded out really good from last game, who hadn't been that guy. You got Jed Wills, who guys was up and down. So he even spent the all season.
He's been quite crappy since he's gotten here.
All season with Joe Thomas to get so much better, and in this season you just haven't seen it. So you've seen a bunch of guys who you thought was going to be good, and they did not show up. That's why the season turned out to be the way it is. Flat out.
And you in that entire rant you just did, you gave no blame for the coaching. None.
Which part?
None of it. Your entire rant
what
of losing. You put nothing on the coaching.
What do you want me to blame the coaches for?
Oh, a lot.
What? Like, give me an example.
The discipline alone and the team not trusting each other, all of that goes back. A lot of that goes back to the coaching, if not all of it. You need leaders. And if you need to build leaders.
Well, which
trickles down, because if you have trust, and you know this more than anyone, if you trust these guys around you, and that's what 2020 was. Such a special time. It was such a special time. It was a surreal time. I look back now. I dated someone during COVID. It was this wonderful, euphoric thing for like 8 months. The Browns were winning. They won a playoff game. It was like all this wonderful stuff. Like everything was closed. Everybody just wanted to be by each other, even though they couldn't. You know, the players. It was like everybody was doing their part. And I realize now, though, Tyvis, that was the anomaly. Like we have now seen year after year after year with different players, same coaching, continue to come up short. And there's everything you just named is an excuse. It's an excuse. And I'm so sick of the excuses. And I don't want to have to keep firing people every year, because we know that hasn't worked in our past. But if we're going in now, we just went in. Not even if we are. We're in it with Deshaun. This is it. This is everything. And if we're going to bring back someone that has plateaued, no, I'm not saying get rid of them and not have a backup, right, of an idea, but there's no one football minded on this team at all. There's no one trying to lead these guys. There's no one. It's such an individual thing. I know I work at a place where it isn't always great, right? And that always ends up going up on leadership and management, because if it doesn't start there, and holding people accountable, nothing's ever going to change. So no, I don't want a plateau coach. I want a rising coach.
Who you got in mind?
I don't know.
And that's the
problem. And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not going to get rid of them to just get rid of them. I'm going to get rid of them because there's going to be also someone else there. I mean, it's so frustrating, because we're constantly just like, well, this is what we got, you know?
Yeah.
And we make excuses for everything.
But 2020, that whole year is a slant. And congratulations, by the way, on 2020 being a great year for you.
It was a great year for me.
That's really great, because for a lot of people, they can't say the same.
Absolutely. I had a great year.
Me included, but I'm glad to hear that you did. But anyways, 2020.
that's all I get, by the way. That the 2020 has only been the good year I've had in a while. So,
but 2020, that season, you know why the Browns were good that season? Man, and it actually brings me to this point. Actually, you know why the Browns was good in 2020?
They had nothing else to distract them.
My point exactly. You had to stay at home and watch. If you wanted to compete in games, you had to go in there and watch tape. You had to know things. You had no outside distractions. You had those things going on. Now that we're in 2022, how many times this year we heard guys leave this building and they need to learn that it doesn't stop once you leave this building. How many times do we hear that this season?
All the time. But then you look at other teams, you're like, well, it's not like COVID just happened to the Browns. It happened to everybody. Like,
And it was all about who managed that situation better. It was guys out there that probably was like, I ain't watching no tape. I'm getting on this game. They can't even see me. Oh, I'm on the game. Like, it's other things that could have been done. But I think that they just managed it better. It was 2020 was all about, that season was all about who managed COVID better. That's pretty much what it was.
Well, maybe Kevin's a COVID coach.
Maybe.
I don't know what that really entails.
Maybe. But basically what I'm getting at is that people need to listen when this is the part that frustrates me. Is because when you're there and you're playing, you literally have to sacrifice. If you want to be the best, don't get me wrong. If you want to be good, you want to show up on Sunday and be good, make a couple plays. Yeah, you just watch some tape. That's it. You watch a couple tapes, you learn, you pay attention during the week, you'll be fine. But if you want to be great, and that's the thing, and that's why they say good is the enemy of great, because people be complacent with just being good. If you want to be great, like if in your heart, if you out there and you like, I want to be I don't want to make some plays today. I want to be the number one offense, the number one defense. I want to be first in sacks, first in picks. Like, you take the extra step. And I'm not saying that they are or they're not.
Well,
but I can tell by their play that I probably not. And it's not a lot of people that's in the league because they're so fascinated with the life. Like, I'm in the league. I can go out. People know who I am. I get females. Like, it's so much distractions in the life that you have to just sacrifice sometimes and be like, you know what? I'm not worried about that because my shelf life is so short, especially for guys that you don't even know if they're going to be on this team next year. I would have been in there watching so much tape that I would have known more than the coaches would have known. And I don't see that out of these players from the Browns. And that's the problem right there. They're not dedicated enough, in my personal opinion, because if they were, we'd see something totally different on Sundays. And it's sad that just film study, how much, you know what? And it brings me to this point. It was this safety. This is once this great safety, right? It's Caucasian gentleman, actually. He played for the Cleveland Browns. His name was Jim Leonard. Jim Leonard was not the most athletic guy at all. He wasn't fast. He wasn't strong. Matter of fact, if you saw him, he looked like a regular guy. He didn't look big, nothing. If you saw him, you wouldn't even thought he played football. But that man knew that. He knew the game of football, and he knew that Browns playbook inside and out, and it allowed him to make so many plays and be so productive in games because his study habits and his ability to lock in and study tape made him great, made him pretty good. And that, if people would just take Jim Leonard's work ethic and study habits and apply, like, think about it, like a guy like, I don't know, Grant Delpit. Take Grant Delpit. If he took Jim Leonard's study habits and applied it to the game, he'd probably be top safety in this league because he got all the he got the size, he got the speed, he got the physicality, he got all of that. But I don't know how much he knows X and O's. And you'll say, that's on the coaching. No, it's not. It's not on the coaching. Like, it's really not.
No, it's being there's no one holding them accountable.
I really wish y'all would stop saying that because it really.
I'm never gonna stop saying that.
It's a point. I talked to my boy Sherm about this today. It's to a point where it's really starting to bother me a lot. It's really starting to really affect me that y'all are making, y'all blame the coaches and not the players.
Let me ask you something.
Hilarious to me.
Well, no, there's a lot of player blaming, but I want to ask you something. How influential was Urban Meyer when you played for him?
How influential is he?
Mm-hmm. When you played for him?
I think
Did he have tape rolling throughout the locker room?
He was a great motivator. But as far as X's and O's, especially on the defensive side of the ball, he couldn't tell me anything. He couldn't tell me anything. But that's not always. What do you mean?
As from a head coach, I think, and someone that is up in the leadership, like a lot of that he shouldn't have to. You should know that because he has a staff that's going to show you that, teach you that. And from a leadership standpoint, there's so much around being a leader. There's so much that you that goes beyond just facts. Like it's motivation, it's feeling, it's having that that trust and all of
so
that. But if you don't have that from the highest top, these guys have just continued. Yeah, if they're not doing their job, no one's holding them accountable. They're just going to continue to do it. And they're okay with mediocre because it's being allowed. And I don't know who needs to, is it everybody? Is it like, I don't know what, but we have let this spiral, and it is a joke. Nobody trusts it. Nobody trusts each other. And you can't tell me that looking at from a leadership standpoint, that has nothing to do with it.
No, there is absolutely no leaders on this team at all. But if I'm a coach and I hold, let's see, Kevin Stefanski holds leadership meetings once a week. I think on every Wednesday before like team meets and stuff. I believe. I think that's what I heard. And if I'm a coach and I hold a leadership and I have a leadership council, then these are the guys that I trust. These are the guys that, they probably do things the right way. They're the voice of the team. And if those guys aren't being leaders, like at this point, if I'm in week 15, then what am I gonna do about it? Like that's something that we have to talk about in this offseason. Like we gotta find.
Well, yeah, and that's what we let it spiral, Tyvis, and then here we are again. Well,
it's
too late now, so might as well try to address it in the offseason when no one's paying attention.
So the leader that everybody listened to on defense was who?
What's his face? Why am I blanking? Beginning of the season went out.
Linebacker.
Harris?
Number 5. No, it's Walker.
Walker. Harris, not Harris. Sorry.
So my leader on defense goes down. I can't. Leadership is something that some people say that you're born with it. Yeah, you can develop it. You can develop guys in it. But middle of the season, I'm gonna develop a guy to be a leader, put more on his plate. A lot of people they're either gonna rise to the occasion or they're gonna fold. And I've seen a bunch of.
All right, and then when Walker went out, there should have been a proactiveness. Next man up.
Oh, exactly. And that's exactly probably what they thought. Okay, next man. That's all we talked about. That's all in the press. Next man up. Jacob Phillips. Next man up.
There was no one being groomed to be the next
man up is Jacob Phillips. He's gonna come in there and he's gonna be the guy. He's doing well. People are listening to him, and he goes in there, and what happens? Folds. So we need to address it. Let's address it. We go get Deion Jones. What is he?
Yeah, but why do you need to be on field to be a leader? Why when you get
because it just holds a little bit more weight. It's something about a guy being out there on the field that you kind of listen to it just a tad bit more. I will say that.
That's fine, but to say that like, well, he's not playing, so I ain't listening to him anymore. I mean that's a crazy, crazy thought, and not a smart one, and a dumb one. Which is the same thing as a not smart one, dumb one.
You'd be surprised.
Well, that's ridiculous, and that makes me even more sad for this team. I don't know. We could talk about this for hours.
Think about it, Holly. If I'm out there,
talked about it for hours.
If I'm sitting out there and I tell you, Holly, we need to do this. We need to be better in this. Everybody need to be blah blah blah. And then I go out there and I look bad. What you gonna say? Listen to this guy. Listen to this dude, boy. Like,
well, yeah, if they're not holding their weight, but if they're getting hurt, I mean, we have no linebackers. Like that. That's not. I don't know.
I know they should call me. I'm up to 225 now. I like y'all. I know the Browns like them undersized linebackers. I move well. I know how to use my hands.
JOK's out.
Listen, I know how to use my hands to get off blocks. Come on now. I get out there for the next couple weeks.
I just there's so much around being a leader in so many different facets, and a large part of that is obviously motivation, but instilling some type of accountability. And there isn't that. And if I'm looking at this team and I'm like, all right, what a waste of another season. We have to turn this around. This is my last, if I'm Stefanski, right? It's my last chance. You're going to pull out every possible stop, whether that is different leadership, whether that's like a peer review, that's a thing. Yeah. Whether it's bringing someone in like a Brian Kite, who I love. Didn't he talk to you?
Yeah,
Ohio State.
it was Tim, but yeah, Tim Kite, his father.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that? You know Tim
No,
Kite was
Brian. No, I guess I didn't know that.
You didn't know Tim Kite was Brian Kite's father?
No. How did I not know that? I never knew that.
I don't know. But yeah,
He's
Tim
never
Kite.
taught. I mean, I follow him. I find his stuff every day, like the whole thing, but he's never.
I am a walking testimony of E plus R equals O. I choose to respond in all positive ways in life. And it's really nice for the mental health.
Well, it is. And I get the daily discipline from him. Shout out, Brian. And it applies to so much in life. And if there's not that type of motivation, that type of encouragement, accountability, discipline, then this is what you're going to get. And if you don't make changes, and that's my problem with Stefanski. Like, I feel like after 3 years, he is not adjusted at all.
Well, hold on.
On and off the field.
Wait a minute. Before I get into that, because you're talking about changes, and that brings me to a very good point. DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Buckeye State. It won't be long until you can bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. To celebrate, all new customers will receive $200 in free bets when you sign up today using code P3Brown. Plus, 5 lucky customers will win a $100,000 free bet. Man, sign me up. Cut me in on that deal. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you $200 in free bets just for signing up today. No deposit required. You can use my email if you need to. Soon, you'll be able to bet on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, DraftKings Sportsbook. Plus, you'll be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code P3Browns to get $200 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Ohio. Plus, 5 customers will win a $100,000 free bet. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code P3Browns. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. 21 and older. Physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. 1 per customer. $200 issued at 8 $25 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends first day DraftKings is allowed to operate in Ohio. See terms at DKNG.com/OH.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, we are back on the Orange is Oranger, and Tyvis wants to dig a little bit deeper into Stefanski. So please, Tyvis, give me your analysis.
Now,
give it to me. Talk to me about Stefanski and
Kevin Stefanski has had a rough road. Okay, we want to call it. We want to say it's been excuses, but it's the reality of this thing. Okay. Obviously, first year, really good. Playoffs, win, cloud 9. Next year, quarterback gets hurt, terrible season, jeopardizes the whole year, doesn't come out, leaves him in. He's the best option. We look terrible. We don't make it. So we blame that on quarterback play. Next year, this year, supposed to be the year. Your quarterback, boom, gets hits for 11-game suspension. So right then and there, we had a standstill. We had a crossroad. Do we ride with Jacoby Brissett, or do we go trade for a quarterback? We say, oh, we're just going to ride with Jacoby Brissett. Do we have another glaring issue at the defensive tackle position. Do we address it? No, we're just going to ride with it. These young guys are going to develop. We'll be fine. So now this season coming up right here that we're on, obviously 11 games, no franchise quarterback. The record ends 4-7. We'll see what it ends with. I say that to say he's had legitimate excuses. He has had legitimate excuses. It's like I say, when you become a head coach, you're guaranteed 2 years. 2 years max, unless you're the coach at the Houston Texans. You're on a 1-year deal. Houston Texans, if you're listening to this, I am available for 1 year. Since y'all giving those out, I have no problem getting the team ready for 17 games. And then you can gladly fire me after that. But back to President. You ain't got your franchise quarterback. You're not going to win game. You get 2 years. He went after 2 years. He did well, did terrible. He went out there and said, you know what? If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with the quarterback that I want. He can't go out with the quarterback he wants because his quarterback was gone for 11 games. So, therefore, that alone buys him an extra year, just to be fair. And I understand that the world isn't fair. But to be fair, he deserves at least
life isn't fair.
1 more year.
Life isn't fair.
Yes,
and that's fine. Do you think that he's the right, and maybe it's too soon to tell, I don't know, and maybe we'll find out we'll find out either way, but is he the right head coach for Deshaun? Because that's what matters.
That's why Deshaun is here. What are you talking about?
It was
money,
the Haslam call, and
money aside,
yes, it was.
Money aside.
Sure, Stefanski will take him, but that was a Haslam move.
Money aside. He sat down with Kevin Stefanski and watched tape, and it just intrigued him. It was like God is calling.
Scares me.
He was like, this is great football that he's talking to me. He's talking my language. He put them plays. He came in there with a PowerPoint of clips. And Deshaun Watson was licking his chops. He said, man, I could do that and do it even better.
And then sent him away. And then we came back with the $230 million guaranteed. Yep. And shit changed.
Well, I mean, you'd be a fool to let $230 million sit on the table. I mean, who's mad at a guy?
I don't know. I'm projecting. I don't know. I don't think they're going to mesh. And I think we're going to be stuck.
How could you say?
I don't know. I just have a feeling. It's my intuition. My intuition tends to be right.
Well, let's hope that it's wrong. How can you say that? Did you not see him in the Houston Texans and then see him last week? It's like 2 different guys.
Deshaun?
Yeah, 2 different guys.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. He made some improvements, but I wouldn't say 2 different. We had one offensive touchdown in the last 2 games.
That's his fault. We had a 40% Amari.
Certainly not his. Wait a
minute. We had a 40% Amari Cooper. We had a DPJ drop touchdown. What is he supposed to do?
He also had a really awful interception. I'm not getting down. Look,
yes,
but don't tell me he's a night and it was like night and day, because it was not night and day. Okay?
I'm not saying it was night and day, but it was.
He did improve.
It was night and sunrise.
Oh my God. All right. We need to stop talking about it because it's nauseating.
It's not to me. I'm cool. You know?
Yeah. Well, let's look to this week. We got the Ravens. And it's like, I don't know. I really don't care at this point. I just play Deshaun till he can't play. I mean, I don't know. At this point, this is where we need to be, right? We need to get him as much reps as possible. Yeah, so
you have to look into the future. First of all, Holly,
we look into the future. I've been looking into the future, Tyvis.
No. Because you're not.
For how long?
No.
Huh?
This is the problem. Not Ty. Excuse me. Ty has given us some stats. He said that the chances of the Browns getting in, I think he said was 4%. It's not until it says 0.
No, it's less than 1 now, isn't it?
Whatever. Until it's 0.0000, then you go in there every day and you keep fighting. That's what you do.
You know what? I would.
You know what? These last games should tell me a lot about the Cleveland Browns. That's what that tells me. When you know that your chances, you got a chance, but the chances is very slim.
That was last week.
No.
Last week.
Do you No. Because when it's over.
Last week was that game, Tyvis, where they could have really changed things.
What you talking about is they had a lot of faith, like a lot of faith. Like we win this game, we went out, we really got a strong chance. When that chance is so slim that you really, even if you win out, you still ain't gonna go in. Do you still go in there and prepare and go out there and play your hearts out?
Our chances were much better last week than they were this week.
No, Holly, you're missing the point. What you're going to find out is, do these players love the game of football, or is it because that's their job? That's what you need to know. And if
you don't know that yet with these guys?
No, I don't. But I will see in these next few games. I will find out if these players love the game of football, or are they there to collect a paycheck. That's what I will find out.
I'm shocked that you're telling me that you still don't know the answer to that yet for this season.
I don't.
I do. And they're not all in.
Well, we'll
not at all.
I will know everything I need to know.
Great. They're going to beat a third-string quarterback this weekend.
Saturday around 8:30. I know 8:30 p.m. I know exactly what I need to know.
You know what? They're going to be up against a third-string QB,
and they're going to be is quarterbackless. So yeah, this is like. Then
they're going to get all excited and be on their high horse again, and it's going to be like, well, you beat a third-string quarterback. Like, I don't know. Okay,
we didn't make the schedule. We just play what the schedule says.
No, but it's the same thing. It's that coming off that high, like what we did with the Texans, and coming off, and it's like, if you look at what we played and who we played, and actually how terrible that first half was.
The schedule was made before the season, so.
And we had a really easy schedule the beginning of this. We had the easiest NFL schedule in the beginning.
Every team we played is pretty much like playoff bound, except the Texans.
When the season first started, we didn't know who was
still in the hunt.
Bound.
What are you talking about?
Who? The Browns?
No, I'm talking about the teams we faced.
Yeah, I know, but in the beginning, we were rated to have the best. The easiest.
And that right
easiest
there,
season.
You see
first
that?
Half.
You see right there what you fell in? That's called reading press clippings. That's right there is what's wrong with the clippings.
That's what they were ranked.
That's what I bet you that schedule ain't saying that now.
Well, no, because the second half they had the hardest. Per the rankings. I'm talking about this is what, but you talk out of both sides of your mouth, Tyvis, because you're telling me, you're sitting there and you're telling me that I shouldn't be listening to any of that, but we should be listening to what we're being told and everything going forward with this team. Like, it doesn't, you're saying both things to me.
Wait, what did I say that? What are you talking about? I'm
talking about in general of what you talk about with these, still have hope with what these guys are saying.
I'm listening to them. I am one of those guys that I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are speaking so loudly. That's me. I don't talk. I don't do too much talking now.
I don't know how you can say that when you look at this leadership.
When you get older and you get wiser, you start like turning your ears off and you start just seeing. So I need to see. I said,
okay, but what have you seen that makes you think? Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what you can say you've seen.
I've seen a team come out and completely dominate games before.
The Bengals once.
The Bengals, Pittsburgh. What is it? 58 minutes.
Do you think that Pittsburgh would have the record that they do if it wasn't for Mike Tomlin?
Would Pittsburgh have the record that they have if Mike Tomlin wasn't the coach?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on who the coach would be.
No.
If they had Bill Belichick, absolutely. What are you talking about? The coach matters.
If they had Kevin Stefanski.
If they had Kevin Stefanski, I think their record would not be that great because Najee Harris came into this year with a Liz
See the spin, Taj.
He had a Liz Frank injury. He did. And their quarterback is not that great. So yeah.
You had an excuse for everything over there with this team.
So he don't gotta. So Najee Harris don't gotta.
You just put that it's on Najee. Like, that's what?
What do you mean? Listen, Kevin Stefanski.
I'm talking about from a coaching standpoint, from a leadership. That's what I'm talking about.
Kevin Stefanski loves to run the ball. If your running back has a Liz Frank injury and can't run the ball,
he's a 5'8" head coach.
How do you become successful?
5'8" head coach. Who's
5'8"? Wait, who's a 5'8" head coach?
Kevin Stefanski is a 5-8 coach.
Mike Tomlin's 5-8. So what that mean? What are you getting at?
Oh, that's true. He is 5-8. But did we think? No, wait, hold on a second. No. Fine. I'll give you the record thing. But you cannot tell me that with Pittsburgh that you thought they were going to be playing this season. And my point is, would they with Mike Tomlin or without Mike? Would they without Mike Tomlin? And the answer,
okay.
No.
Well, okay. So let me ask you this: would
the Browns leadership and coaching and all of that holds weight.
So
that's my point.
So let me ask you this: would the Browns be 5-8 if Kevin Stefanski wasn't the head coach? We don't know. So why are we? Why are we talking about something?
We wouldn't be probably having Jacoby Brissett throw it on a non-QB sneak, throwing it.
Yeah, because that
not playing for 2 weeks.
Yeah, because we lost by 7 points. Yeah, that made a huge difference. 7 points.
You know exactly what I mean when I talk about
if they lost by 7 points, I hear that argument, but they lost by more than 7. So
you cannot tell me that you listen to actions more than words and seen the action that we have seen with this team.
I've seen the team
from this season. That you cannot tell me and then tell me that there's not.
Wait a minute, Holly. So they didn't dominate some games this year.
What's the majority? Where are we right now? That's what matters. That's what matters.
I didn't ask you that. That's not the question.
Because it doesn't. That doesn't matter now.
You can't. You listen.
Did it get us anywhere? It didn't. That's the point.
Did they dominate games this year?
It doesn't matter. Sure, but where are we at?
Okay,
where are we at? Are we going in the playoffs? No.
That's what
Do
I.
We have another wasted season. Yes.
Who's to say we not?
Has Kevin Stefanski been figured out 2 years ago? Yes.
Wait a minute. How you know we ain't going to the playoffs?
I can't. We got to end this podcast. We're going to end this episode because I'm going to lose my mind.
How do you know that we ain't going to the playoffs?
Okay.
Crazier things have happened.
Sure. All right.
I know a team that was sitting at 16.
I don't know what you're on over there, but I would love it.
I'm on E plus R equals O. You should talk to Brian Kite about it. It's really nice. I'm on it. I bought it.
Talk to Brian and Tim.
I bought it. I love it, Holly. Holly, you're the best, Holly. I appreciate you. Like, it's good because see, this was on your mind. It's on
yours too. Apparently,
no, not at all. Actually, I haven't given a thought about this. This you'll be surprised. You think I prepared for this, but this is all off the top of the head. It's really crazy, but
oh my God, humble brag.
It's one of those things that people been carrying this frustration. And it's just nice to just get it out, I bet you tomorrow you feel it so much better. I'm gonna go do the Cleveland show tomorrow and just be like, "What y'all want to talk about?"
You've gone on your own rants there that you've sent me.
Yeah, I went on. No, I did. I only went on one rant, and I shouldn't have did that.
Oh, whatever. You should have. That's the whole part of this business.
I'm mad that I did that.
Nope.
I won't do that.
You cannot be Switzerland in this business and be successful. You can't.
I'm gonna be very Switzerland because I see. If anything,
you'll plateau just like Kevin.
I'm gonna always see it from the player side,
and that's fine. But then they need to be held accountable, and how?
I agree.
There's a lot of different ways, but leadership is certainly one of them.
You know how they're going to be held accountable?
How?
About March, I'd say it's like March, like 15-ish, something like that. Hey, agent gonna call and they're gonna say, "Hey, such and such is really loved his time with the Cleveland Browns, and he's looking to resign. Are you willing to resign him?" And they're gonna say, "We're going in a different direction." And that right there is the biggest accountability check that you'll ever have when you say, "I'm a free agent and I have no team that wants."
But that's not the only. That's not the only accountability.
That's how it starts.
That's fine, but that's not going to do anything in the middle of the season when we need to make adjustments.
But the middle of this, listen.
All right, we're gonna. I know we're agreeing to disagree here.
You're punting on the season, and it's not over. It's not over until it's over. They taught me to fight until it's over, and I don't fight.
Okay.
I fight until literally is nothing, no pulse left in my body.
All right. So well, you go ahead and do that.
Different. Maybe I'm just different, and I'm wired different. I have been
You
brainwashed.
sure are.
I was brainwashed at Ohio State. Yes, I admit that. I was brainwashed, but it worked.
Yeah, because you were motivated and you were a hard worker and you had really good leadership.
I was the leader. I was a captain of the team. Could you believe that?
I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, big time. Well, Holly, I hope to talk to you next week after a great win. Where
we're gonna
our chances are gonna go from a whopping under 1% to 2%.
We're favored now, I think by like 2.5 points.
Listen, as long as you staying alive, that's all that matters, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna beat up Tyler Huntley. We're gonna win, and we're gonna get all jacked up again.
Cincinnati's gonna tank, man. It's just gonna
No, they're not.
They're gonna get figured
Crazy.
out, and it's just gonna be over. You know, like it is.
Okay.
Well, back it's going. That Pittsburgh game is gonna have a lot more meaning than you think.
I cannot with you. I cannot.
Wrap it up.
All right. Well, that does it for us. The Orange is Oranger. Thanks for listening to our insane back and forth, but it's always fun. It's what we do. It's entertaining, hopefully.
Makes the pie. It's what the people want. I feel like Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, see? That's non-Switzerland. You need to be non-Switzerland.
I just tell it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I see it from a player side, but I tell it like it is.
All right. Well, we'll see where we end up next week. Thanks for your insight off the top of your head with no preparation.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I go into these days. I feel like I perform better under that way.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, E plus R equals O. Check it out.
Yeah.
Orange is Oranger.
Shout out Tim and Brian Kite.
We'll like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Go Browns. We're still alive. Staying alive.